Hello, everyone. TGIM. Thank God it's Monday, Peter?
Yes, sir. Yes,
We
sir.
got a full day, a full slate, a full week of action. We're really coming down to the end of the dog days of summer. Thankfully, we have NFL preseason to bet on later this week. But today, we're going to talk mostly Major League Baseball. Not a big slate. 7 games tonight? But we're going to focus in on that. There is some WNBA action that you have a pick for that we're going to get into as well. Going to talk bad beat of the night as always. NFL power rankings. We are both going to rank our bottom 5 and top 5 teams in the NFL this year as we, like I said, kind of start to get into the NFL preseason. And then we're going to talk game of the night. And game of the night is going to be a fun one because it is the Seattle Mariners against the New York Yankees. The Yankees who have lost 5 straight games. Peter, as a Yankee fan, you still have the banner up behind you. Is it time to panic? Is it time to push the panic button as a Yankees fan?
Worry meter is at a 6 out of 10 right now. Things are not looking good. Pitching has not been good lately. The bats go cold. The pitching is great. The pitching goes cold. The bats are great. It's really not a great scenario right now. Obviously, luckily, the Yankees built themselves a cushion for something like this to happen. But the last thing you want to see your team do is labor into the playoffs. So hopefully they get this turned around soon.
Now, the Blue Jays, I did predict that they were going to catch the Yankees in the AL East by August 29th. Unfortunately, they split their 4-game series with the Twins over the weekend. Would have been nice if they could have won that series. But still, they have cut the lead down into single digits. We're at 9.5 games behind the Yankees. Can they do it?
I think the way the Yankees are going right now, it's definitely possible. It's tough because you got 21 days, so probably about 19, 20 games. They need the Yankees to play some really bad baseball, but at the same time, they are playing really bad baseball right now. So if this losing streak kind of continues into this week, there's a chance they could whittle it down to closer to 5 going into the final 2 weeks before that timeline. I don't think it happens, but crazier things have happened.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just saying, and with the way the Yankees have played the last couple seasons, I wouldn't put anything past them at this point.
I will say a pivotal 4-game series coming up in the middle of August between the Jays and the Yankees in New York from the 18th to the 21st. I planned on going to that, but unfortunately I will now be in Toronto. So if it's in Toronto, I'd be at this series, but I won't be able to make it, unfortunately. So that will be pivotal, though. If the Jays sweep that, who knows? Things could get weird. But let's dive into the actual show here. I did have to get a few Yankees chirps before we got things going. But let's talk a little bad beat of the day. And today's a personal one because it happened yesterday. I know there were some people that were on this bet with me. It was in the PGA event, the Wyndham Championship. I wrote in Ryan Palmer in the notes. This is what happens when I have to produce. Unfortunately, I messed things up. It was Ryan Moore. To finish in the top 20 is a bet I had at 10-1. I gave it out on Green on the Greens last week. I thought it was a fantastic for top 20, 10-1 on a guy who had previously had a lot of success at the event. I thought it was a fantastic bet. I know a lot of people tailed it with me. He was in the top 10 for the first 3 days. Heading into the final round, I don't quite remember where he was. I think he was T8, I believe, heading into the final round, tied for 8th. Only shot 2 under in the final round. Finished T21. One stroke outside of the top 20 to cash that 10-1 bet. I believe it was the 16th hole that he bogeyed. Yeah, the 16th hole he bogeyed. Couldn't recover in time. 1 stroke outside of a 10-1 winner. One that was winning for 3 of the, I guess, for really 3.5 rounds. For about 67 holes or 68 holes of the tournament. This bet was winning, only for it to collapse. Slipped through her fingers right at the end.
Dude, that's brutal. That's a brutal one. I mean, my goodness. Especially because, if it was a top 10 bet and he was at 8, you're like, oh, I'm in a good spot. But obviously things could change on that last day. When you have a top 20 bet and the guy's at 8, you're like, okay, he's just got to play decently, right, and I should be fine. That's a brutal way to lose that one.
Especially a 10-1 ticket. Those are the kind of tickets you start counting the money because it's a nice little win. So that was my bad beat of the day. Like I said, I know a few people were on me with that one yesterday. It was a tough one. But let's dive into some best bets for today. As always, we got some community picks to go over. They are all in Major League Baseball. Going to start with one from @DeSoxFan24. Says Bassett over 5.5 strikeouts, 68 strikeouts, and 64 innings pitched at home. Reds 27th in team strikeout rate.
I don't mind this. I was trying to find a way to back Bassett because obviously this line is insane because the Mets are so much better than the Reds. But the 5.5, I was looking at Bassett because I was debating taking a strikeout prop for our MLB best bets. And like he's had a couple games with 7, but he's also had a couple games with 4. He sometimes lands right on 5. So he's not like a known strikeout pitcher, but the Reds are terrible. So
yes,
it's not a bad way to back the Mets.
Yeah, that was I was actually going to look at that prop for our props bet article that we wrote today. But I have a different bet for that game that I'm going to talk about once we get to our picks. But yeah, this is an unbelievable mismatch here. So I like that pick quite a bit. Bassett over 5.5 Ks going against the lowly Reds. We've got a question in the chat here. This is from Don Play. And he asks, would you take A's Angels under 4 in the first 5 innings? He also says, I like unders. Do y'all like any on this short card? A's Angels under 4 in the first 5 innings. I'm just looking at right now how these two teams do in first 5 inning runs per game. Oakland second last, only averaging 1.79 runs per the first 5 innings per game, and the Angels 24th at 2.14. So based on those numbers, just runs scored in the first 5 innings, I like it. It's a good bet. Also, even though neither of these teams are great, especially the Athletics, the only good pitcher they really have left in the lineup, Cole Irvin, is starting tonight, 3.04 ERA. So I certainly would not be taking the over. I do like the under first 5 innings in that game. I have a different bet for that game. We'll get to it in a little bit. But if you're looking for an under for first 5 inning, I think that's a good spot.
Yeah, and one of those, because we were talking about the Mets game, I'm debating playing the under in the Mets-Reds game. I believe it's a 9.5 right now. Bassett's been really good this year. Obviously, they're facing a bad Reds team, and it's something I noticed. The Reds, since they traded Brandon Drury, traded Luis Castillo, they kind of blew up their team, obviously, at the deadline. 6 of their last 7 games, they've scored less than 9 runs combined. So you got a good Mets pitching staff going up against the Reds team that's really not hitting it all right now. Obviously, the concern on that end is the Reds are starting Justin Dunn. It's his first start of the year, so he might get rocked. Like, we really don't know. He didn't pitch great in AAA, but at the same time, there's a chance Mets could win this game, 7-1 type of game, and you're still cashing the under. So I don't mind that. I think it's a little high considering how bad Cincy's offense has been.
So there you go. There's a couple unders if you're looking for a few on tonight's short slate. But let's get back to some community picks that were sent in through Twitter earlier today. This one came in from my Green on the Greens co-host, Cody Williams, at the Sizzle 20. He's going to Orioles, Moneyline, Mariners, Moneyline. Also, by the way, shout out Cody Williams. Cashed in. We were talking about Wyndham Championship. I had a bad beat. He had a great bet. He actually picked the winner, I think, at 35-1, who has now become a darling of Green on the Greens. Ju Hyung Kim, a.k.a. Tom Kim, Thomas the Tank Engine Kim. So shout out to Cody for hitting that winner this past weekend. But tonight he's on Orioles Moneyline and Mariners Moneyline. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Mariners and Yankees game a little bit. And Pete, I believe you have a bet for the Orioles Blue Jays games. But I do see the Orioles have been a bit of a popular pick today. People are fading my Blue Jays with UC Kikuchi on the mound.
Yeah, I like the Orioles play quite a bit. I'll get into that when we get into our best bets. Actually like both of these, to be honest with you. Cody's kind of reading my mind. It gets me nervous though. Feels like every time I'm on the show and like either me and whoever else is who's hosting or the community, we're all on the same page. It seems like that's not the way it goes. So I'm already a little nervous that Cody's thinking the same way I'm thinking today.
All right, we'll see. And then finally, one more from @Sundberg Walt, Athletics Moneyline. I have a play for this game. Peter, I don't think you have a play for that game, but do you have any general thoughts about the Angels and Athletics? I know we just touched on the first 5 under. Do you have any other thoughts for that game?
Yeah, I'm a little Oakland is a favorite. I just like we've talked about it in a bunch. Like when it's two bad teams playing against each other, I don't love taking the 41 win A's as a favorite. Um, but then again, like we talked about Cole, and I believe he's got like a 1.73 ERA over his past few starts. He's pitching really, really well. I know he had a great month of July. So there's a reason to back him against an Angels offense that is bottom 10 in the league in OPS, bottom 10 in runs scored over the past couple months. But at the same time, you just got to be careful when you have these bad teams, especially a team like Oakland that kind of got rid of everybody before this year and then again at the trade deadline. Like backing them as a favorite, it's just you're playing with fire there a little bit.
And we have one final community pick. It wouldn't be a Daily Betslip show without Cody Wells chiming in with a pick. And he says Jake Fraley under 0.5 hits. So for him to not record a hit, extremely small sample size, he says, but he's 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts against Bassett. And because producer Joanne is unfortunately not here today, she's on vacation, we can't show the tweet. So that's why I'm only showing a portion of it because Cody did add. I'll just add it now because I'm looking at it. It says the Mets bullpen is 11th in ERA, 11th in WHIP, 7th in walks, and 5th in strikeouts. I don't have any additional thoughts. This is kind of has become Cody Wells' lane where he takes these under or over hits. I like them. His reasoning he gives for all these picks, I mean, I agree. So good luck. I don't really have anything to add to it, though.
Agreed.
And we have one more coming in from the YouTube chat. Brandon Kagan, Mets -1.5, or am I just a fanboy? I believe he mentioned on Twitter that he wanted to talk to you about the Mets as well, Peter. Obviously, a little battle of the New York teams. We were hoping for a Subway Series for the World Series, but the Yankees need to pick things up.
Yeah. I don't mind this play at all. The Reds stink. Justin Dunn, I know he had a 6.92 ERA in 3 starts in AAA, coming off an injury. So you're probably going to see a lot of the Reds bullpen tonight too, and they're bottom 10 in bullpen ERA this year. So any way you slice it, the Mets have the advantage here. The one thing I am a little worried about with the Mets is you're also laying some juice at the -1.5. So like you have to be okay with that. But they dominated the Braves. I would think they would kind of stay on this high. There wouldn't be a letdown there, but we've seen it, sometimes from other teams where you come off a 5-game series against a division rival, you get one of these kind of cupcake games and they mail it in. But I don't mind. If I was going to bet anything on this game, like I said, I'm leaning with the under, but I don't think you can bet the Mets with Justin Dunn on the mound. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, Ian. You can't bet the Reds, I mean, not the Mets. You can't bet the Reds with Justin Dunn on the mound. It's too risky.
Well, that actually leads right into my first best bet of the night here. So let's just get right into that because you actually, how dare you stole all of my points that I was going to say about this game. So let's get into it. Yes, I agree. Take the Mets in some form tonight, especially fade Justin Dunn. So how I'm going to do it is I'm doing Mets first 5 team total over 3.5 plus 115. So we're getting down a little nitty gritty here, but the Mets need to score at least 4 runs in the first 5 innings, and we're getting plus money. So if you want to fade Justin Dunn and you want to get that plus money, because like you said, even if you take run line, even if you take first 5 run line, you're laying quite a bit of juice, which is fine. I'm not saying don't do that, but I like to get a little bit of plus money, and I think this is the best way to do it because exactly what you said, Peter. He's made 7 starts in AAA this season, resulting in a 6.92 ERA. He has shown promise at times for the Mariners in the majors the past couple of years, but I think he had an injury, and I don't think he's ready to come back to the majors. This is not the Reds wanting to give a guy a shot or thinks that he's ready for the majors. This is a result of the Reds trading away starting pitchers at the deadline, most notably Luis Castillo, and now they just need someone to start for them. So they acquired Justin Dunn from the Mariners, and now he's going to get a start in the majors, and I just don't think he's ready for it. Like, if you're giving up a 6.92 ERA and 7 starts in AAA, like, you're going to get lit up because it's not like he's going against a bad offense either. He's going up against the Mets, who have one of the best offenses in the majors this year. So I would recommend fading Justin Dunn one way or the other. How you want to do it is completely up to you. I will do it Mets first 5 innings. Team total over 3.5 at plus 115.
I like that quite a bit. You got to find some way to get. I saw the Justin Dunn start, and I was like, oh, that's got to attack it somehow.
Now, sometimes I'm usually a guy that actually kind of likes to underreact to these guys making their season debuts. So I looked up Justin Dunn's number, and then I saw the 6.92, AAA ERA, and I was like, oh, no,
can't do that.
No, I will not be backing him. So that is my first bet of the night. Let's alternate back and forth with MLB picks, Peter, and then we'll finish off with your WNBA pick. So give me your first MLB pick for tonight.
Yeah, my first one's a player prop. Looking at the Diamondbacks Pirates game, I'm going to take Zach Gallen under 4.5 hits allowed in this one. Two of my favorite pitching props I've been looking at lately have been hits allowed props and outs recorded props. I just feel like there's a little bit more value on some of them right now. Strikeout props have been just really tough for me lately, so kind of moving into this lane. You look at Zach Gallen, his last few starts, he's been pretty solid. I know he got off to a great start, but since June 5th, when he last faced these Pirates, he's posted 6 starts, allowing 4 or fewer hits. And Pittsburgh's really struggling. Over the past 15 days, they played 13 games. They have the second fewest hits in all of baseball. They have just 94. And they have the 4th worst batting average over that stretch. Zach Gallen, if you look at his last few starts, he got 2.22 ERA and a 1.77 opponent batting average over his last 4 outings. So he's been pitching well. Obviously, I will say the last time he faced the Pirates, they did get 5 hits off of him in 6 innings. But this is a Pirates offense that is very, very bad. They have one of the worst run differentials in all of baseball. They have gone from being in 3rd place in the NL Central to jockeying back and forth in last place with the Cubs the last couple of weeks. So I'm fading them here. I think at plus money, it's worth a shot, especially with how well Gallen's pitched recently.
I like that bet. Won't argue with that at all. I do like taking unders when it comes to pitcher props. So yeah, I like that one quite a bit. I will be diving into kind of an underdog pick a little bit. Depends on how you want to play it. I'm not going to play too aggressively though. Giants against the Padres. Going to take Giants first 5 plus 1 or plus 0.5. So the first 5 run line on the Giants minus 105. Now, if you want to get a little bit more aggressive, you can get them, I think, plus 125 to win in the first 5 innings. But I'll take this bet. So then if it's tied after the first 5, I'll win a little bit of money. And we're still getting it at minus 105. The big reason why I like this bet, and it's really the sole reason, going to keep it pretty simple. It's a battle of lefties. Alex Wood against Blake Snell. Giants 4th in OPS versus lefties since July 1st. Padres all the way down at 20th. So Giants have been much better against lefties, and this way I can fade Blake Snell, who has become one of my favorite pitchers to fade this season. If you are going to bet on the Giants, though, I would recommend that you stick to first 5 innings or maybe even like a team total, because since July 1st, Giants dead last in bullpen ERA, the worst bullpen. So do not bet on the Giants full game money line, probably for the rest of the season, because their bullpen is going to break your heart more often than not. So I'm going to stick to the first 5. I'll take the plus 0.5 run line at minus 105.
I like that quite a bit. I think the Padres they traded for Soto, and rightfully so. Everybody kind of adjusted, but there's more flaws on this team than Juan Soto was going to fix, I think. And
Correct.
So I don't mind this at all. I think they might be a little bit overvalued in the market right now.
Yeah, Juan Soto is one player, one batter, one bat as good as a Juan Soto bat is not going to make a massive difference for a team. They're not going to go from a good team to all of a sudden like a World Series favorite. So They got some depth issues. They got some pitching issues. They're certainly going to be an exciting team to watch moving forward, but not one that I'm going to necessarily bet on a ton. So there's my second pick. Let's get to your second pick back in Major League Baseball. And this one's gonna hurt me a little bit.
Yeah, so this one, I touched on this when we were talking Cody Williams' bet. I'm taking the O's to win against your Jays tonight, plus 115. And I knew you weren't going to like this one, and I hope you read my MLB Power Rankings today. I think you edited it, so I'm sure you did. I'm giving the Jays their flowers. They've been playing extremely well lately. But I just think this matchup, from a pitching perspective, I have to back Baltimore here. And Jordan Lyles, the Baltimore starter, isn't even the real reason I'm doing it. It's because Yusei Kikuchi has been absolutely terrible this season. Our Joe Summers put up his StatCast pitching profile this year, and he's like in the bottom 10% in so many categories. It like makes my head hurt. But so far this year, you look at the O's, they're 70-38 on the run line. Overall, by far the best in the league. They're 35-17 on the run line at home. But I just think there's more value in taking them to win. They've won 7 of their last 10 games as a home dog. And the Jays are 6-12 in Kikuchi starts this year, just 3-6 over his last 9 outings. And he's gone more than 5 innings in just 1 of his last 11 starts. We know there's question marks in the Jays bullpen this season. So if he's only going to get you 3-4 innings, I'm trusting the Orioles and their bullpen, which is 3rd in bullpen ERA, to kind of close this game out. And like I said, the O's are just one of the best home teams in all of baseball this year. So I think this is a tough matchup. I think the Jays have a much better chance tomorrow with Alek Manoah on the mound. I don't think this is going to be a sweep in either way. So I'm going to lean with the Orioles here and take them to win.
Listen, if there's one time that you can fade the Blue Jays and I won't be too upset, it is when Yusei Kikuchi gets the start. I didn't like the signing when they picked him up in the offseason. I haven't liked him all season. I do like the over in this game. That's where I lean a little bit more. When it's Jordan Lyles is the starter for the Orioles today, correct? I think.
Yeah, he hasn't been good. He's got like a 4.4 ERA or something like that.
Yeah, he hasn't been great late either. In the these two pitchers actually faced off against each other, I think June 14th or 15th. They each allowed 4 runs, and there was 11 total runs scored in the game. So, although I will say the Blue Jays bullpen has been actually very good the past a little over a month, I don't trust them though. I know this bullpen they're gonna start to collapse again. They're not as good as the numbers that they posted the past little bit. So, if I were betting on the game, I'd go the over. But even though it's going against my Blue Jays, not going to blame you taking the Orioles at plus money. But also, I will say, and I mentioned earlier, I'm seeing a lot of people today on the Orioles, which does make me nervous for you Orioles bettors.
That gets me nervous. I wrote this up at like 8:15 this morning, and I was like, oh, I love this play. And then I've been on Twitter, and I'm just seeing everybody like, Orioles. And I'm like, oh, man, this is not good. This is not good.
They are certainly a public underdog tonight for sure. All right, I'll get into my final MLB pick. Then I know you have a WNBA bet. Going with the game that we did touch on a little bit earlier, I am going to take the Athletics minus 125 against the Angels here. And you said it. Generally, my strategy is when 2 really bad teams play against each other, just to take the team that's getting plus money. But I think enough things are pointing towards the Athletics' favor in this one that I'm willing to actually bet on this team as a favorite, which is not something I thought I would have done at any point this season. But I did mention earlier as well, the Athletics are starting their only good pitcher left, Cole Irvin, who has a 3.04 ERA, going up against Jose Suarez with a 4.55 ERA. And not only do they have a pitching advantage, not only do they have the home field advantage, but they also have been the better team lately. Dating back to July 1st, the Athletics have an OPS of 679. The Angels have an OPS of 607, and that gets even more drastic when you look at OPS versus lefties, because this is a battle of lefties as well. 670 OPS for the Athletics against lefties, 571 for the Angels. So pretty significant difference there. Also, Athletics bullpen, pretty solid since July 1st, 9th in bullpen ERA. A little bit surprising when I saw that for the Athletics. So I am willing to lay the juice on them tonight, minus 125, A's versus Angels.
If you're going to back any A's pitcher, it has to be Cole Irvin. So I don't mind it. I mean, the Angels stink. Both these teams are bad, so I don't blame you for taking the better pitcher. I don't mind that at all.
Yep, I would agree with that. Cody Williams chiming in to back his Orioles pick from earlier. He does say Lyles 2.68 home ERA, much different pitcher at Camden Yards.
I like to hear that.
I will say
I do like to hear that.
To play devil's advocate to that, and I know Cody Williams loves when I play devil's advocate on Green on the Greens. Camden Yards is not the old Camden Yards, though. It's like kind of changed into like a pitcher's ballpark this year, hasn't it?
Yeah, because they moved the wall back in left field, so that's been huge because that's where a lot of people hit home runs there.
Right. So obviously, I mean, that still is a significant stat, but if you were like a couple of years ago, if you would have said a pitcher had a 2.68 ERA Camden Yards, it means different than it does now.
Oh, definitely.
A little bit. But yeah, best of luck to you guys with your Orioles bets. I will be staying away from that one. Actually, not best of luck because I hope the Blue Jays win. We've got to close that gap in the Yankees. All right, you have one final best bet, and it is in the WNBA. Hit me with it.
Yeah, so this is actually a great game tonight. I'm a little disappointed. So the New York Liberty are playing the Dallas Wings, and the Liberty got off to such a bad start this year that it's really cost them a chance at getting a playoff spot or making any kind of noise if they somehow do sneak into the playoffs. Um, and they're facing a Dallas Wings team that's won 4 straight, gotten back to 500, has a chance to really close this season on a good note, and put themselves in a good spot heading into the postseason. The Wings are 4-point favorites at home, but I'm actually just going to take them to win straight up on the money line minus 170. Obviously, you got to lay a little juice here, but there's a couple reasons why I'm not comfortable taking them to cover, but I think that they can win. You look over the last 4 games, which obviously small sample size, but the Wings have been great. They've won all 4 of those games. Their net rating in those 4 games is +7. Over that same stretch, their last 4 games, the Liberty's net rating is +12, the best in the WNBA. So I was on this a few weeks back. I was writing a bunch of stuff about the Liberty. They had a brutal stretch where they played either the Chicago Sky, the Connecticut Sun, the Washington Mystics, or the Las Vegas Aces, the 4 best teams in the WNBA right now. And Seattle Storm are also in there. But they played those 4 teams in 6 consecutive games, and they lost all 6 of them. And it's killer because it's, it makes you obviously drop their record. Their ratings went down, but they also played the 3 best teams. They've had a much easier schedule since then, and they're taking care of business. I think the Wings kind of fall into that upper echelon of the WNBA, so I'm not 100% sure that this is a game where you should be backing the Liberty. But at the same time, they're not going to make this, a cupcake win. But the reason I'm taking the Wings here, the big one, the Liberty on the road this year are just 5-10. They've really struggled on the road. They're a team that's really good at home, not good at all on the road. So I think the Wings can win this game. I think it's going to be close. I'm not bold enough to take the Liberty +4, so I'm just going to take the Wings to win. But this should be a fun one tonight. You got some of the best players in the WNBA, Arika Ogunbowale, and then Sabrina Ionescu, who set a WNBA record for points, rebounds, assists in a season a few days ago. So should be a fun one if you're looking for some basketball action tonight.
So there you have it. Peter Dewey not laying the points, just going to take the money line.
Yeah. There's the baseball betting in me kind of took over here. I was like, I'll just take a money line. Why not? But
all right, fair enough. Now, usually if our great producer Joanne was here, we'd put up a nice fancy recap graphic. We do not have that here. It's just me trying to work the graphics here. So what I'm going to do, best bets, look at that right along the bottom. I'm on Mets first 5 team total over 3.5 +115. Giants first 5 +0.5 -105, and Athletics -125 against the Angels. Peter, Zach Gallen under 4.5 hits allowed +120. Orioles +115 against the Blue Jays, and he's not laying the points with the Wings. Just going to take money line -170 against Liberty.
There we go.
All right, let's go.
Good quick read by you right there.
I try to keep up with it. It's tough. Let's go 6-0 tonight. We still do have 2 more picks left that we're going to give out at the end of the show when we talk game of the night between Peter's Yankees and the Seattle Mariners. But first, let's talk some NFL power rankings. We are going to rank the bottom 5 and top 5 teams. Let's start with bottom 5. You don't have to get too deep into it. A quick sentence for each pick. Who are the 5 worst teams in the NFL in 2022?
Yeah, so I'm going to go, my worst team is going to be the last one. So I'll go my first team first, and then the last team is the worst team. I'm starting with the Cleveland Browns. I know this is already going to get some hate, but sorry, you sign a trade for nasty man Deshaun Watson, and hopefully he gets suspended for this whole year. I just don't see it for the Browns this year. They were not that great last year with Baker Mayfield. I think they're going to be downgrading if it's not Watson under center for most of the season. So I got the Browns as a bottom team. I wouldn't touch any of their futures right now. I think they're way overvalued in the futures market. Next, I got the Detroit Lions. Again, people love the Lions this year. I know they covered the spread a ton last year. They also needed like more than half the season to win a football game. I just don't think this team is that much better than it was last year. I know everybody loves Dan Campbell as a motivator. They still have Jared Goff as their quarterback. Still plenty of questions on this team. So give me the Lions at, what does that be, 28 or 29. Then I have the Seattle Seahawks as my 3rd worst team. They just don't have a quarterback. As a Denver Broncos fan, putting any faith into Drew Lock is a terrible, terrible plan. And putting any other faith into Geno Smith if Drew Lock fails is also a terrible plan. Unless they find a way to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, which I can't imagine the 49ers wanting to trade him within the division. I just don't think this quarterback situation works out. Second to last, I got your Atlanta Falcons, Ian. I apologize.
Boo.
But same kind of scenario. I just don't – the quarterback play is going to be highly questionable between Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. They have a good secondary, obviously, A.J. Terrell, Casey Hayward. They have some good players there, but their front seven and then also their offensive line, huge question marks. I don't think this team is looking to take a step forward. I think it's the type of team that's like, hey, we're going to have a bad down year. We traded away Matt Ryan. Let's go get our quarterback of the future next year. And then the last one, I have the Houston Texans. This is actually not a hate of Davis Mills, because I think Davis Mills is like highly underrated. I thought he played great last year. I just think the rest of the Texas roster, like, it's just not good. Like, they don't look like a team that's trying to win football games. And they're playing in an AFC that the AFC is going to be extremely tough this year. Their division isn't going to be as bad, but at the same time, the Titans and the Colts should be able to beat up on them. So give me the Texans as the worst team in 2022.
Listen, I understand rooting against the Browns. I understand hating the Browns, being a disgusting franchise at this point in time. But let's take Deshaun Watson out of the mix. Let's say he gets suspended for the whole year, and rightfully so. I hope he does. Jacoby Brissett is their quarterback. They're still not a bottom 5 team. I get wanting to hate on them, and I hope they end up being the worst team in the NFL. But this is also, I mean, their second opponent yards per play. It's a top 5 defense.
Yeah, the defense is going to be good. I just – like, Jacoby Brissett showed me absolutely nothing last year when he was for the Dolphins. Like, they lose 7 in a row when he was the starter over that stretch. So, I mean, yes, they have a better supporting cast than the Dolphins did. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't have a ton of confidence in them just throwing in a backup quarterback. Like, Deshaun Watson's been taking a lot of reps in training camp, so they also might be up against the gun if he's going to miss the entire season. Like, okay, now we have to just pivot to this is what our life is now. I know it's a way, like, I have them way farther down than most people would. I just also rooting against them this year, so might as well keep them down there.
Did you see the video from Lions training camp today of Jamal Williams like doing the team cheer? Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Well, if you saw that, maybe you wouldn't have the Lions in your bottom 5. It's emotional. It's emotional stuff.
They do prey on the emotional stuff. Dan Campbell, his motivational speeches, they get to me, but then they lose every week. So I'm like, hey, I don't know if that makes them a good football team.
Correct. All right, my bottom 5, going with the Carolina Panthers as the 28th ranked team. I don't really believe Baker Mayfield's going to thrive there. Christian McCaffrey's probably going to get hurt again, as much as I love him. My main reason is I think Matt Rule's a terrible coach. I don't think he wants to be there anymore. He seems like he just wants to get back to the college level. And they have to take on the powerhouse Atlanta Falcons twice. So that's 2 losses right there. So Panthers at 28th, 29th Texans. I kind of like Davis Mills, but they're still a couple years away. They don't have much to kind of lean on that team. Seahawks 30th. Who even is a Seahawks quarterback right now?
I think it's going to be Locke, but it could be Geno Smith. We really don't know.
I knew Geno Smith was one. I forgot who the other is, Drew Lock. So that's tough. Also, they're in probably the toughest division, the NFC West. So they're probably going to go 0-6 in that division. Chicago Bears absolutely stink. Let's be honest. Justin Fields disappointed last year. They have and even if he does well, who's he going to throw to? Darnell Mooney? Like, the receiver is one of the worst receiving corps I've ever seen. Their defense is not what it used to be. They were a completely average defense last season. Probably got worse this year after getting rid of Khalil Mack. They are the second worst team. The worst team this year is going to be the Washington Commanders. Remember 2 years ago when they had that really good defense that everyone hyped up, and then last year they were one of the worst defenses in the NFL again. And now their quarterback's Carson Wentz. So Carson Wentz, if he was going to succeed, it would have been last year with the Colts, a much, much, much better team. He's been blessed with being on good teams throughout his career. Let's see how Carson Wentz does on one of the worst teams in the NFL.
I don't mind the Commanders pick. I wanted to find a way to get them in the bottom 5 because I think, like, especially in the futures market, like at WinBet, they're like plus 6,000 to win the Super Bowl. I was like, what? Like, no way. I don't even think I think they finished possibly last in that division. I was like, that's insanity. That they're that high up. Like, they were ahead of the Giants. They're ahead of the Steelers. Like, the Steelers aren't going to be good, but come on.
They have better odds to win the Super Bowl than the Steelers?
Yeah, they do.
Why?
That
Am
was
I forgetting something about them? Obviously, they have Scary Terry, but like, who else do they have on that team?
No, my thoughts exactly. And Chase Young's probably not going to be back for the start of the year, so their defense, which is already not great, that's an even bigger blow to them. The only gripe I have on here, and I don't disagree with it necessarily because I don't think they're going to be a good team, but the Bears at 31 might be selling them a little bit low.
No,
I
they
think
stink.
I think Justin Fields in a full season where Matt Nagy's not taking him in and out of the lineup every other week, that could probably help. But they're going to be a team that's going to have to win games like running the ball. The only thing is I think they're going to play in the Lions division. Like the NFC stinks. I think they might be able to steal a couple wins that people aren't expecting. But otherwise, no gripes. I could see the argument for all the other teams.
You'll notice I don't have the Lions in the bottom 5 because I saw that Jamal Williams video and saw him getting choked up, and I'm fired up. I'm motivated. Let's keep things moving here. Let's talk about top 5 in your NFL power rankings. Go.
Yeah, I might have the chalkiest top 5 of all time, but I got the Bills at 1. Just think their offseason additions, Von Miller being the prime one. They're in a really good spot to kind of improve upon last year. They were obviously so close to being in the AFC Championship game if their defense doesn't blow that game at 10 seconds to go to force overtime. Number 2, I got the Rams. Took a lot out of me not to have the Rams at 1. I am a little worried about Matt Stafford's arm injury. I know he's been dealing with it for over a year now. That kind of concerns me. The other thing with the Rams is they are running it back. They also were very fortunate not to have any major injuries last year. So that could also derail their season if that happens. Number 3, I got the Bucs. I'm not as high on the Bucs as I think a lot of sports books have them right now, but at the same time, they have a very talented roster. Obviously, they still have Tom Brady. And the other thing with the Bucs is they probably are playing in the easiest division in the NFL. So they're probably going to walk to a top 3 seed in the NFC, which I think is going to benefit them this year. Then at 4, I have the Chiefs. I think like Tyreek Hill is gone. Obviously, it's a big blow. He's a very talented player, but I also have Patrick Mahomes. I think the Chiefs receiving core has a lot of talent on it. The question is, can some of those guys hold up for a full season? Can they actually produce? Yeah, sure. Those questions are there. But any team that has Patrick Mahomes is going to be in my top 5. And then 5, I have the Green Bay Packers. This one, again, don't really think the Packers are better than they were last year. They still have Aaron Rodgers, the 2-time reigning MVP. And they also play in a terrible division. The Bears and the Lions are not going to be good. So I think they are also going to walk to a pretty easy top 1, 2, maybe 3 seed in the NFC. So the way I look at it is I see the Rams, Bucks, Packers as the top 3 teams in the AFC, and the NFC, and the Chiefs and the Bills the top 2 in the AFC. So hard for me to put somebody else in the top 5.
So we have the same 3 teams, not the same order, but the same 3 teams in the top 3. I just don't agree with the Chiefs and Packers because of the point that you mentioned with the receivers. I think Chiefs not having Tyreek Hill and the Packers not having Devontae Adams is going to hurt them this year.
Okay.
So they would be just outside my top 5, but my top 5, I'm going to go Rams number 1. You said you were tempted to put them there. I got to put them there. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. I don't know why they aren't Super Bowl favorites. Like it's kind of like not many people are calling them the best team in the NFL heading this season, which to me is insane. They got Bobby Wagner. I know they lost Von Miller, but they got Bobby Wagner. I would kind of do a 1-for-1. I think Bobby Wagner is better than Von Miller. Obviously different positions, but I would rather Bobby Wagner on my defense over Von Miller. Allen Robinson now at wideout, even though they lost Robert Woods. I think this is going to be a team that might have the best record in the NFL in the regular season. So go Rams number 1, Bucks number 2. I'm not going to compliment the Bucks because I'm going to feel sick to my stomach because I hate them. They are the Yucks after all, but they are my number 2 team. Bills 3. Look at last year's stats. You might be tempted to put them number 1, but their schedule last year makes me a little bit nervous for them this year. They had a very easy schedule last year, and they didn't have great results against playoff teams in last year's regular season. So I'm cautiously optimistic about the Bills this year. Number 4, the Colts. Do you remember last year there was a point in time when people were calling the Colts like actual Super Bowl contenders? They didn't end up making the playoffs, but that's because they had Carson Wentz, one of the dustiest quarterbacks of all time. Now they have a former NFL MVP, the most underrated quarterback of all time, leading the charge, one of the greatest leaders in NFL history, and Matt Ryan, potential MVP candidate in 2022, leading the team. If they were Super Bowl contenders with Carson Wentz for a portion last year, imagine what they are with Matt Ryan. Well, what they are is the fourth best team. Then we have number 5, the Bengals. Super Bowl runner-ups. I know I wasn't super high on them in the playoffs last season, but I think they might have got better in the offseason more than any other team. They got Alex Kappa, an offensive guard from the Bucs, who was on that Super Bowl winning team. Center Ted Karras from the Patriots. I'm mispronouncing these names. Offensive tackle Lael Collins from the Cowboys. So their biggest weakness last year was the offensive line. They got 3 very good starters on the offensive line out of those 3 guys. They lost CJ Uzoma, tight end. They signed Hayden Hurst, who I know, former Falcon. I think that's a great pickup for them. And then they used the NFL draft to shore up their secondary with a couple secondary picks in the first couple rounds. So I think the Bengals have even improved. They probably didn't deserve to be the runner like the AFC champions last year. They did it in the playoffs there, but now they've taken the right steps to become an actual, in my opinion, Super Bowl contender. So Rams, Bucks, Bills, Colts, Bengals.
It is ludicrous. I respect you sticking to your takes, but it is ludicrous that you have the Colts at 4. As
Do you remember last year when there was it was week 13 and people were like, oh, these Colts might actually go win the Super Bowl. They won 5 games in a row. People were crowning them a contender.
And then they lost to the Jaguars in the last week of the season.
Because of Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I agree with you that Matt Ryan is better than Carson Wentz. I think he's way better than Carson Wentz. Also, I think we're giving Matt Ryan way too much credit because the Falcons have done absolutely nothing since they made that Super Bowl, and Matt Ryan was there the whole time. Granted, the supporting cast wasn't great, but Matt Ryan's not the type of quarterback who comes in and lifts your ceiling to expeditiously, like a Patrick Mahomes would if you added him to any team. I think he's better. I think they're a playoff team. I would pick them to win the AFC South. I don't think they're better than the Chiefs. I don't think they're better than the Packers. I don't think they're better than the Baltimore Ravens. I just think there's a lot of teams. I wouldn't put there's half the AFC I would have over the Colts. The Chargers I'd probably have over the Colts. I think the Broncos have a argument over the Colts. I don't see the Colts pick. I agree. The other 4 I'm fine with. I like the Bengals at 5. I debated putting them in there too, but the Colts is I think it's a little bit too much Matt Ryan love.
The Indianapolis Colts will finish with a better regular season record than the Kansas City Chiefs in 2022.
That's a bold statement right there. It's a
Do you want to bet a 6-pack on it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Done.
Gentleman's agreement.
Let's move on here. We're a little over time, so let's just jump right into the game of the night, the Yankees and the Mariners. I've already chirped the Yankees enough, so let's just jump right into your best bet. Well, I will say what the pitching matchup is. Jameson Taillon going up against Logan Gilbert. They faced off against each other. That was just last week, wasn't it? They both got lit up. It's both of their last starts, and they both got lit up. So which way are you going for this one, Yankees and Mariners? Go.
Taking the Mariners to win. Mariners money line. The Yankees have been playing terribly lately, but the bigger thing here is I'm fading Jameson Taillon. He's just been god-awful for over a month now. You look at him dating back to June 23rd. He allowed 6 runs, 3 runs, 5 runs, 6 runs. Then he had a stretch of 3 solid starts against Boston, Baltimore, and Kansas City. And even the Baltimore start was not a solid start. So he gave up 2 runs in 2 2/3 innings and got pulled. So he's really had 2 good starts dating back to June 23rd. So not what you want to see out of your starting pitcher. Obviously got rocked, gave up 3 home runs against this same Mariners team. And the thing that I've noticed that's been concerning me about Taillon, he's dealt with injury problems in the past. He hasn't pitched a full season basically in his entire career. Over his last 3 starts, he has walked 9 batters. That is a big, big concern for a guy who does not overpower the radar gun. You look at him prior to his last 3 starts. If you look at his June and July starts, so his previous 9 starts, he'd walked a total of 7 batters. So in his last 3 starts, he's walked more guys than in his previous 9. That is a huge concern for me. He can't afford to be giving up free passes with the way he's been getting knocked around. His ERA is almost pushing 4 at this point. There's no way I'm backing him tonight. I know Logan Gilbert got knocked around by the Yankees too, but the Mariners still ended up winning that game. So I'm fading Jameson Taillon, giving the Mariners tonight.
A little emo hedge for you, eh?
Yeah.
Is this an emo hedge at all?
Yeah, it's an emo hedge. I think the Mariners are going to win. I really think
All
they're
right.
going to win.
By the way, if anyone is watching this on YouTube or if you're watching this on Twitter as well, go to the BetSided page and vote in the community poll because right now we have a tie. We have a tie right now. So this tie needs to be broken by the time I give out the end of my pick. So go and vote in that poll because it is, like I said, dead heat. We need to break that tie. My best bet for the game, this is an emo hedge for me because I hope they lose, but I'm going to take Yankees actually, but I'm going to stick to the first 5 innings on the money line, minus 110. I think, now let me take off my Blue Jays fan hat here. Let me get a little unbiased for the next 2 minutes. I don't think you need to panic about the Yankees. They're on a 5-game losing streak, but even in the month of August, they're 5th in OPS. So even though they're on this cold streak, it's not like their bats have gone completely cold. The Mariners are 16th in August. Obviously, small sample size, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, the Yankees aren't winning games, but they're still putting up decent numbers. And previous to his last bad start, Taillon allowed a combined 3 earned runs and 14.2 innings pitched. So I'm going to take the Yankees. I am going to stay to the first 5 innings, though, because I think if there is something to be concerned about the Yankees, especially recently, is their bullpen. That is going to be their biggest glaring weakness going down the stretch, I think. I think in August, I think they're like bottom 5, definitely bottom 10 in bullpen ERA. So I'll stick to the first 5 innings. I'll trust the Yankees bats. I'll take him as a pick.
I respect you for the unbiased opinion, and 2, believing in this Yankees team. I've watched too much Jameson Taillon lately it's just a struggle watching all of his starts. I just don't. And Logan Gilbert, like, he has that great strikeout stuff where I'm nervous if the Yankees bats are going to go cold, it's going to be against a guy like that. But if you're the Yankees bullpen yesterday was god awful. So I do agree with you. If you're going to take the Yankees, first 5 is probably the way to go, just because they have been taxing that bullpen like crazy because their starting pitching has been horrible, and now it's starting to catch up to them.
Yeah, so hopefully the Yankees win the first 5 innings, and then the Mariners come back and complete the comeback and win the full game, because then I'll win my bet, you'll win your bet, and the Yankees will just lose, and the Blue Jays will take another step forward to catching them. So that would be the best-case scenario all around. The poll did end in a tie.
Oh.
So the community is on the Yankees and the over 8. So if you want to follow the community, maybe even a little same-game parlay, you can back both of those, Yankees and over 8, tied with 33.3% of the votes in today's poll.
I don't mind the over 8 at all with the way the Yankees have been playing.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Obviously, I'm on the Mariners, so I'd prefer not to bet the Yankees, but might a little side hedge. I might parlay those 2 together and just throw $1 or 2 on it and see what happens.
So there you have it. The community is on the Yankees and the over. In case you missed the start of the show, Peter, why don't you go ahead and recap your picks there, including your pick for the game of the night as well?
Yeah, so I'm taking Zach Gallen under 4.5 hits allowed. It's plus 120. I'm taking the Orioles plus 115 on the money line against the Blue Jays. I'm taking the Wings minus 170 against the Liberty tonight, and then the Mariners, I believe minus 110 it was, Ian, against the Yankees tonight.
And I got Mets first 5 team total over 3.5 plus 115. Giants first 5 plus 0.5 minus 105 against the Padres. Athletics minus 125 against the Angels. And Yankees first 5 minus 110 against the Mariners. So a lot of first 5 bets tonight. 3 of my 4 picks are the first 5 innings. So
I like it. How
about that? So there is our show. Thank you all for watching as usual. As always, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Stay with us because the NFL season is almost here. We are almost through the dog days of summer. Tomorrow on the show, it'll be, I believe, Ben and Donovan. What time is it at tomorrow?
I think it's at 5 tomorrow. I think we're back to normal time tomorrow.
I can confirm we are back at normal time for the rest of the week. Ben and Donovan tomorrow. Peter, you'll be on with Ben on Wednesday, and then Peter will be on again on Thursday with Donovan. And also, I will have Green on the Greens tomorrow with Cody Williams at 6 p.m. Eastern, breaking down the FedEx St. Jude Championship, the first round of the FedEx Cup playoffs. So check that out as well. Like I said earlier, Cody Williams hit an outright last week. So let's keep the hot streak alive with that. Thank you all for watching. Best luck with your bets tonight. Gamble or bless. and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Now I remember I got to shut off the stream because I'm the one. Joanne's not here. Bye, everyone.